Hello, superstar traders. Welcome back to the weekly market outlook. This is 𝗦𝗛𝗔𝗥𝗘, and I'm super glad to have every one of you here once again. You know how we do it every week, right? We share deep market insights. We look at the economic calendar and how it's going to be affecting the week, all right? All of our activities for the week. And then, of course, we give projections and analysis on your favorite pairs and where they should be heading. That simply means massive money, right? Please don't leave until the ending part of this video. All right, watch till the end because I'm going to be sharing with you 5 to 7 assets that can fetch you real money. All right, if you feel that is not true, I want you to go back and look at the other weekly market outlook videos that we've done that is already sitting in this YouTube channel, and you'll find out that our accuracy is over 80%. All right, 80% of the times that I tell you buy an asset, it buys, or sell an asset, it sells. And that's why I don't want you to go. All right, stay till the end and I share with you 5 to 7 assets and where they will be going this week and how they can fetch you real money, right? So let's quickly jump into what we have for this week. For the economic calendar for this week, right, we already have experienced the OPEC meeting that happened yesterday on Sunday, right? And of course, OPEC's decision to cut down oil production has really affected the prices of oil in the market. We saw by the time market opened yesterday night, we saw a very huge spike, right? A very good spike rather on both the US oil, which is the West Texas Intermediate, and also on the UK oil, which is the Brent, and even on crude oil prices, right? We have seen a whole lot of spike, right? I'm going to be sharing with you the future of US oil in the coming few minutes from now, right? So I don't need to go anywhere. I'm going to tell you exactly what is going to be happening and how this OPEC meeting is going to have a long-term effect on the US oil. Of course, cutting down prices, cutting down oil production, especially from the Arab regions, all right, is going to put a whole lot more of pressure on the US economy and even many more economy that is really fighting hard to reduce inflation to the barest minimum. We're going to be looking at all that very soon, right? And then, of course, today being Monday, we're expecting some CPI data to come out of Switzerland, okay? We're expecting some CPI data today being Monday. And of course, by 3 p.m., okay, that data has already been released, okay, as we can find here, all right? So, of course, that's about an increase of 0.3%, okay, from the previous 0.0%, okay? And then, of course, we're expecting some ISM services PMI data 3 p.m. today. Tomorrow, we're expecting some cash rate statements for the HOSI, okay? And it's kind of quite tentative, right? Because already their cash rate is sitting at 3.85%. When I mean cash rate, I simply means that their hike in interest rates, okay? Their interest rate is currently sitting at about 3.85%. And then, of course, they are trying to review it in a bid to fight inflation, but yet we're yet to get the data that will be released as of tomorrow being Tuesday. And then, of course, we have also some interest rate decisions to be done by 3 p.m. in Canada, all right? They call theirs overnight rates, all right, or rate statements as well, okay? And also some GDP data for the HOSI, the early hours of Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we are going to be having unemployment claims from the USD. Remember last week, Friday, we had the FOMC, we had the, we have the JOLT report, which is the Job Opening and Labor Turnover Survey, telling how many job openings were in the US. And then that happened, I think, on Thursday. And then on Friday, we have the non-farm payroll, right? And then the non-farm payroll simply talks about how many of those jobs were seized, okay? And over 330,000 jobs that were taken advantage of last week, all right? And so, of course, this week we're going to be having some people claiming that yet they still don't have jobs, okay? And of course, what is being forecasted for us here is about 239,000 people claiming they don't have jobs. That figure is not too far from what we experienced the previous month, okay? And so if we experience any figure around the 230 to 240 zone, right, that is not going to impact the market so greatly because, of course, those are still around the figures that we saw in the previous month. All right. It simply means that not so much people are claiming that they don't have jobs. Okay. So that might just not cause so much impact in the market. And then, of course, on Friday by 1:30 p.m., we'll be having the employment change and unemployment rate data coming out from Canada as well. So these are the many months, these are the high impact news, and of course, that we will be experiencing for this week. Not so much to really bother ourselves with. All right, let's quickly look at the dollar index and let's see what the dollar index is really doing. So on the weekly time frame, we still observe this particular area, this zone, this established support, right? We've been talking about it for more than 3-4 months now, right? And that we said that this zone was an established support, and then we see a bounce off. All right, like I always said in my weekly market outlook, right? Except for last week that I showed you exactly what the dollar index was doing, right? Except for last week, I have already told you before now that prices is coming to 105 point. I think I told you 005, 105.005. All right, but merely looking at it, we could see that this particular area is that resistant area. First, it was a resistance, break, support, and bounce off, and then break again, retest. So we're expecting perhaps prices will come to grab liquidity somewhere around 105.817. And of course, it is from that zone we will be looking at, right, a possible move to the downside. Okay, so after making that, we see a possible move into the zone, and of course, even possibly looking at breaking this established support. But until then, I am pretty kind of bullish, a bit bullish for this week on the dollar. All right, hopefully today and tomorrow we see that bullish movement occur and then a bearish movement continues. Let's quickly look at this on the daily time frame, right? So on the daily time frame, this is what we could find, right? So yeah, last week Friday's NFP actually strengthened the dollar, and then we had a massive bounce off from this particular zone. All right, you would better see it on the 4 hourly time frame, right? This is on the daily time frame, so you probably not appreciate this particular zone, but it's an established support area, it's an established demand area, which we were also looking at, and we're quite tentative while we're trading the NFP data for last week Friday. All right, so prices is taking off a flight from here. We're expecting that price will come straight up into the zone, okay, and then from that zone we come back below. All right, so that's exactly what I will be expecting on the dollar. So with respect to that, right, what are we going to be seeing on those favorite assets? What is Euro USD going to be doing? What is GBP USD going to be doing? What's USD JPY going to be doing? All right, now stay tuned, and I'm going to show you exactly what I feel is going to be happening on those assets and how you can also fetch yourself real money from them. But then before I show you that, if you're new to this YouTube channel, please leave a thumbs up for me on this video first, right? Just do that. Just do that. Like this video. That's what I mean. Just like this video, right? You've done that, right? Like this video, because I'm about to show you those assets that will fetch you money. So I just need you to encourage me by liking this video, right? And once you do that, subscribe to this YouTube channel and also toggle on the notification bell, put it at all so that you get notified every single time we put up educative and informative content just like this one and many more that is to come. All right, so have you subscribed? If yes, okay, let's quickly go over and let me show you what I am expecting to happen in the market this week. So let me start with Euro USD. Remember, we said that the dollar index might continue to rise till about 105.817 this week, right? It simply means that if the dollar is strengthened in cases where it is quote currencies, we're going to be experiencing bearish movement, just like we experienced last week Friday NFP, right? Where the dollar was super strengthened, and then of course that caused this whole sell-off, right? Now that caused this whole sell-off that we can find here, this whole sell-off, right? We could find here. Now, exactly what I was saying, right? So the overall sentiment on Euro USD, like I see, it's that Euro USD is pretty kind of bullish and will most likely continue to go bullish, right? But then, of course, if the dollar is going to be strengthening, we're still going to find some bearish movement, or rather some bearish retracement before the bullish movement comes into play, right? So let me show you why the dollar will be strengthened. That I feel strongly, right? If you look at it on the monthly time frame, right, the dollar actually fell off, right? So this was a significant area that we should be looking at, right? Let me show you that area. This is more like a significant area we should be looking at. So it was support, 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 and then break of structure. And this is broken as well. So this might just be a perfect retest. And then the dollar begins to, and then the Euro USD begins to go back up, right? So that zone, if you look at it, even scaling down to other smaller time frames, you notice it was a resistance here, break, retest, and fall off. Right here, it broke above, came back, retested somewhere close to that zone. This might be just another retest, and then we go all the way up. So I've proven to you, right, just in a few seconds, why I feel Euro USD will continue to obey its bullish call, right? So let's quickly look at these together, right? So first, it was supposed to sell off into this trend line, right? So you better appreciate this trend line. It was a counter trend line that became a full-time trend line now, right? So you better appreciate it on the daily time frame. Now look at that flight, right? So let me put this here and we say it. Brilliant. So we saw after the massive sell on Euro USD to this zone, all right, just below the parity zone, we saw it take off, fell back into this zone, take off, fell back into this zone. So this created a trend line withdrew into the future. And of course, since October last year, as we could see, since October 2022, August, September, October rather, around September 2022, up until now, we saw prices return back recently to that trend line. So the question is, will this trend line hold? Yes, I can literally say that I am over 70% sure that that trend line is going to hold and we're going to see a bullish move on Euro USD from that same spot, right? So this is what I would be advising us. Let's continue to watch the reaction. Of course, NFP had the massive sell-off, and then let's continue to watch the reactions. For me, I'm already on this trade for a buy, all right? And I'm going to tell you why. So if you watch here, this is more like a rejection candle. I mean, put it. This is more like a rejection candle on this trend line, all right? So this rejection candle tells you that the strength of the sellers are weakening, all right? And then, of course, we can most likely begin to see bullish momentum. And of course, the next bullish candle was an engulfing candle, a bullish engulfing candle. So for me personally, I feel this bullish trend is still very much valid, all right? When I will consider it to be invalidated is when it closes well below the lowest wick, all right, of this rejection candle, all right, which is around 1.06352, all right, until it breaks below that level and breaks into this support area, then perhaps I could close out my loss. But until then, I am super bullish for Euro USD. All right, so how do we trade Euro USD, right? Even though I'm super bullish for Euro USD. Now, how do we trade Euro USD? If you can watch on this 4-hourly time frame, we had this counter trend line. If you watch closely, right, when it was selling off, we had this counter trend line. So once that counter trend line was broken on Thursday, all right, we're expecting more like a retest on that counter trend line. And that retest would happen between these zones where currently the market is trading at around 1.06950, all right, to around this zone at 1.06559, right? Within this area is where we're going to look for the confirmation, right? On the daily time frame, we still see on our momentum indicator that the bulls have the market. The bulls are in control of the market. Why? Because they are simply trading above the negative 100 level. But on the 4-hourly time frame, of course, that NFP sell-off is already in play. So let's see on the 4-hourly time frame, as per confirmation, let's see that the CCI indicator moves back up above the 0.00 line, okay? It moves back up above the 0.00 line. That gives us the double confirmation to take on Euro USD for a buy. For now, let's watch how it consolidates and perhaps even fall down to around the 1.06559 level, all right? So two things are most likely to happen. All right, it's either it gives us, the CCI gives us confirmation around this zone, we go in for a buy, or it falls back into 1.06. Okay, let's have that level. Let's quickly have that level, 1.06559. All right, so somewhere around this level, right, that's where we're expecting perhaps a retracement to occur. But in either case, it's either it goes bullish from here or it goes bullish from here. Our buy signal on Euro USD is still very, very much valid. All right, so this is going to fetch you real money, real money. Where will you be expecting to take your first profit? Somewhere around this level, 1.07862, right? If it retraces from this level here to where we're expecting it to come into, that's about 90 pip movement. And of course, if it retraces, if it falls below this level where we currently see the market to somewhere around this level where we're expecting it, and then we take our buy position from there, that's over 125 pip movement we're expecting for Euro USD this week. And well above that level, we're going to see more highs, right? We're going to see more highs. Well above this level here at 1.07826, we're going to perhaps see the highs around 1.09043. And of course, the highs around 1.09547, right? So just to keep that in mind, this week, Euro USD is most likely to go bullish after its consolidation, after a little sell-off, right? Let's look for confirmation. The same is going to be happening on GBP USD. Where is GB? Yeah, the same is going to be happening on GBP USD. So let me take this off. And then on GBP USD, we can see this for ourselves, right? So unless this counter trend line is broken, except that we are going to be seeing a little sell-off as well on GBP USD, right? Much sell-off, a little more sell-off, right? Come back into this counter trend line, and then from that counter trend line, we are going to see a massive rejection. So the movement is going to be somewhat like this, right? A move into this zone and a move breaking this zone, come back to retest this zone and continue to go bullish. That's of course what we will be expecting on GBP USD. Okay, so how do we trade this? Let me quickly show you that. Let's go down to the 4-hourly time frame and let's look at this. Right, so if we look at this on the 4-hourly time frame, just excuse me a second. If we look at these on the 4-hourly time frame, we will find that there is some sort of support around this level, right? So we would look out for this zone, right? Prices might get to that zone and consolidate all through, or prices might get to this zone here and also find a way to consolidate, okay? So either of these two levels that we're looking at, all right, prices come into either 1.23519, all right, 1.23099, right? These are the levels that we will perhaps be expecting the retracement to get into before we find that bullish movement to start up on GBP USD. All right, so let's quickly look at USD JPY. That's the second. Okay, so forgive me. So around these two levels is where we will be looking out for buy opportunities. Okay, around these two levels, let's watch the reaction of the market. If we get confirmation either by price action or by momentum, all right, then let's opt in the market for a buy. But first, the retracement into 1.23481 or a retracement into 1.23099. All right, around these two key levels, we find a bullish retracement and we go all the way up. All right, then as well for USD JPY, I'm perhaps pretty well expecting USD JPY to come into the 142.068. Remember, I've been talking about that level even before we had that little sell-off last week, and then NFP is bringing it back into that same zone. All right, because I was telling you there is no reason for the sell-off. There is no proper reason for the sell-off at this level where it took off a sell. Okay, at this current level, at this particular level, which is around 140.626, where we have this bullish retracement, there was actually no need for it because I could barely find a good supply zone around that level, but yet it took off a bearish flight. But then we're seeing the prices is quickly be rejected. And then, of course, we're seeing prices coming back into 142.068. This is the key level we should be looking at, okay? Around this level, we're going to be looking out for a sell confirmations and then go all the way down, all right? Or if it breaks above this level, right? If it breaks above that level, then we will be looking out for a buy confirmation. So a buy into this level and then all the way down. That's the first scenario. Or it goes back above and then retest this level and continue to go bullish. So this is exactly what we will be expecting on USD JPY for this week. So this is the key area, right? This is the key area, 142.068. Let's look at how prices react on those zones and trade cautiously, right, on USD JPY. Right now, let's quickly look at US oil. Remember, I told you that OPEC's decision to cut oil production actually caused a large spike, right? And that meeting happened sometime on Sunday. So pretty well, I was technically I was expecting this to happen on US oil, right? So I noticed that this was a major trend line on the 4-hourly time frame. And then, of course, I was expecting that after break of this counter trend line, I was expecting prices to come back, retest this zone, and then begins to fall off. But then OPEC's decision has actually was actually a game changer, right? And then we saw prices broke above this trend line and then is continuing to push further upward. So this is what I will be expecting to happen on US oil. Of course, I will be expecting more bullish movement on US oil, okay? I'm expecting more bullish movement on US oil. So this is what we can do. This is the safest way we can trade this, right? So I'll be expecting a retracement first. I'll be expecting a move to the upside, then a retracement back into this trend line. And then from this zone here, we will be expecting a massive buying pressure, all right, within this trend line. And that's going to be around the 73.212 zone where it's currently trading. So a little more push to the upside, a retest on this zone. And then, of course, we see a massive bullish movement take place on US oil. All right. Aside that, another thing of expectation is we could see perhaps price move into this zone and then fall back into this trend line, find support and continue to move upward. But in either cases, we're going to be seeing more like rising prices of US oil, UK oil, and as well crude in the market. All right. That being said, we've actually looked at three now. We've looked at we've looked at four, right? Euro USD, GBP USD, USD JPY, and then US oil. And I said I want to give you 5 to 7. So the fifth one is going to be gold. All right, the fifth one is going to be gold, and already gold is beginning to play out what I'm actually expecting him to play out. So let me just quickly show you a brief recap on gold. Okay, a brief recap on gold. Forgive me, my chart is kind of like a bit dirty, but I'll tell you why. The chart is kind of like a bit dirty, right? So if you look at it, gold after making the triple top here, second here, and thirdly here, and then gold began to sell off, all right, after massive rejections around the 2085 zone, okay, which is 2080 zone rather. We saw gold massively selling off. But if we look at these on the daily time frame, right, we notice over time that, of course, price movement respects technical analysis as well. It respects technical analysis. So this is what we noticed on the daily time frame. We had this trend line, okay. We had the first touch here. Of course, this is where gold took flight from 1615. If you remember when gold massively sell off last year, right? And then after that zone, we had a second touch here. And then the touch consideration. Remember what we said, right? Remember what we said. We said that 2 touches on the trend line makes it a trend line. 2 touches on the rather diagonal line makes it a trend line, right? But the third touch confirms particularly that that trend line is valid and is a trend line. And this is what we had. We had a third touch somewhere around this level, okay? And then a break of structure. So you're going to better see the break of this counter trend line on the 4-hourly time frame. So if you notice carefully, right, first touch, second, and this was a counter trend line, right? And then this counter trend line was broken. We expected a retest on that counter trend line, which it just did right now, right? This could just be the perfect retest we're looking out for. And then it's going all the way up. Gold is perhaps going all the way up. So what do we do? And how do we trade this, right? It's pretty simple. I wouldn't advise you to jump into gold right now for a buy, right? Although we see rejections and we see confirmation as well on the 1-hourly time frame. But of course, we're not looking and placing all of our judgments solely on the 1-hour time frame. But of course, on the 1-hour time frame, we see a bullish ride building up, right? A bullish ride is actually building up. So let's actually wait for when we get a momentum crossover, a momentum confirmation, all right, on the 4-hourly time frame. That gives us more confidence of the bullish run that is about to happen on gold. So if you get that confirmation, all right, if you get that confirmation on gold, then let us look at gold coming back into the 1981 axis, okay? So that confirmation is going to happen within this axis where gold is trading, all right? Just find that confirmation, momentum confirmation by the CCI crossing above the negative 100. And then, of course, we get that confirmation and we'll enter in for a bullish ride and see that it comes all the way to 1981 axis. From the current market price where gold is trading to 1981 axis is over 350 pip movement. That's a whole lot of money for you this week, all right? So this is going to happen this week, guys. This is going to happen this week. So position yourselves to find confirmation and take on a buy on gold. As well on the 4-hourly time frame, just to add, on the 4-hourly time frame, we already see that this 4-hourly section is currently playing out like an indecision candle, all right? It probably may end up like an hammer, all right, like a hammer. So whatever is the case, it's more whether it ends up as an hammer, rather, sorry for that, it ends up as an hammer or it ends up as a classical doji, all right? Both of them are sweet rejections on our potential trading area. And of course, that gives us a technical confirmation that prices, the strength of the sellers are being rejected on that. So buyers will probably opt in and continue to push prices further above. All right, so we've talked about Euro USD, we've talked about GBP USD, USD JPY, we've talked about US oil, we've talked about gold. That's 5. So I want to give you 2 more to make it 7 so that you're going to make so much money for yourself this week. All right, so I want to simply add NZD USD. All right, so on NZD USD as well on daily time frame, we can see that we got confirmation for a bullish ride. And then, of course, particularly where the price is trading is also a good zone. But then, of course, we remember that dollar might be strengthening, right? Dollar will continue to be strengthening. So we perhaps will expect a little sell-off on NZD USD to around 0.60034. And then, of course, that area we're going to find confirmation for a bullish ride on NZD USD. So a little sell-off to 0.60034 and then confirmation, and we see a bullish ride playing out on NZD USD. And then that's number 6. The last but not the least, sincerely, I do not want to bring up GBP JPY again, but I just have to bring up this guy to us, all right? So GBP JPY is still part of what we will be looking out for this week. I'm not saying opt in right now for a sell until we get that confirmation, all right, on the daily time frame. Already there is confirmation on the 4-hourly time frame, but I feel that confirmation was not strong enough. It's a weak confirmation, all right? So what I perhaps am expecting on GBP JPY perhaps is more bullish pull, okay? I'm expecting a little more bullish movement, of course, to somewhere around this level. Okay, let me look at that price. To somewhere around this level, which is 175.6, 175.800, okay? 850 rather, 175.850. I'm expecting a little more bullish push to that side before we get a proper confirmation, and then prices will begin to fall all the way down. If you notice why I said that level is because if you look at it on the weekly time frame, what you notice is we got this top here, and then we got this top here to establish this diagonal line as a trend line. We got this again. So we're expecting perhaps price will come again into this zone before it push to the downside. So first, while we're expecting that all that to happen, right? While we're expecting all that to happen, I wouldn't advise you to jump into GBP JPY right now for a sell, right? I would want you to watch this zone and see how this plays out. By the way, 175 is still far away. So let's put our fingers crossed and watch how this plays out. All right. So around 175.850 is where I'll be looking out for a confirmation to go on short for GBP JPY. But for now, let's watch how a rejection will possibly happen around this zone where currently price is trading, right? Perhaps around 173.766 or well below that level. Prices might get into 172.714 before it might have a bullish push to the upside. All right. So these are the assets that I would be giving to you that can fetch you money. Right. I just gave you 7. Or you want me to give you another one? All right. Look at this one. Euro CHF. So Euro CHF is also going to be experiencing some bullish movement after a bearish retracement. Let's look at it on the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame here, we see the bullish flight took off from here, right? We saw that the bullish flight took off from here, which is around 0.93902. And then, of course, after that bullish flight, it experienced a little retracement around this level and then fell back into the zone. So technically, this zone here is a demand zone, right? Where we expect some bullish pressure or momentum to set in. So looking at it carefully on the daily time frame, right, you notice that particular zone at around 0.96439. But prices did not really get to that zone, right? That price area. So it's a zone, not a price area. So technically, even if it gets to this area here at around 0.96706, it's still more like a confirmed trade, right? So let's scale down to the 4-hourly time frame, and then we will be able to find if we get into this market for a buy or not. So for me personally, I will be expecting a little push to the downside, right? I'll be expecting a little push to the downside back into the 0.96706, and then quick confirmation and prices will rally back up. That's what I'll be expecting on USD. That's 8 assets that is going to be fetching you money this week. All right. I wish you all the best of the week, and I wish you more peeps, more money for yourself this week. Bye, and see you in the next weekly market outlook next week, Monday. See you.